What's up everyone, I'm IAMOBG for TastingSkills.com. Welcome back to another show. Today I have something special. I'm holding Glenmorangie Extremely Rare 18-year-old, but I have several of the whiskeys. But before we get into Glenmorangie here, let's talk a little bit about the history and the whole premise of Glenmorangie. First of all, Glenmorangie has been around since 1848. But before that, it used to be called a Morangie Farm, and it was a brewery all the way back to 1703. Now, when it was acquired in 1848, there was 2 gin stills that were installed, and that was the conversion from the brewery to the distillery. And not long after, it was renamed Glenmorangie. Now, they distilled for about 90 years until we did get to the Prohibition era, which was the 1920s, and the distillery was pretty much mothballed because of also the Second World War. But in 1948, it went back to full production, and it grew from there. It was acquired in 2004 by LVMH, which is Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, for about 300 million pounds. Now, this is a big distillery. They produce close to 10 million bottles a year, and 60% of that is sold just in the UK. And when we look at the broad market share of all single malts, this represents 6% of all single malts sold in the world. So this is not a small distillery. Now, the distiller that's in charge of this, Dr. Bill, as he's known, won Distiller of the Year last year at the International Whiskey Competition. And Glenmorangie is a real powerhouse here. So let's take a closer look at the core range, the prestige range, and I also have a single bottling. All right. Let's get into it, starting with the Glenmorangie, the La Santa 12-year-old sherry cask finish. Now, this has an ABV of 43 or an 86 proof, and this is part of their core range, and it retails for $55. Then we have the Glenmorangie, the Quinta Ruben. This is a 14-year-old port cask finish, and it has an ABV of 46 or a proof of 92. This is also part of their core range, and this retails for $70. Then I have the Glenmorangie Astar. This has no age statement, and this is aged in American oak. And this is the second release since the first one was in 2008, and this one is 2017. Now, this release has an ABV of 52.2 or 105 proof, and this is part of their limited edition release, and this retails for $120. Then I have the Glenmorangie 18-year-old Extremely Rare. This is part of their prestige range. Now, this has an ABV of 43 or a proof of 86. And this also retails for $120. And finally, I have the Glenmorangie, the Nectar d'Or. This has no age statement, but it was finished in Sauterne cask, and this has an ABV of 46 or a proof of 92. And this one retails for $70. Now let's talk about the packaging. I mean, this is so beautiful, so clean. I mean, this is such a big player. They focus on their packaging, and when you just look at the packaging of the 18, the box that it comes in, I mean, this is just great packaging. It's just classic. I mean, it's Glenmorangie here. It's been around, since 1848, so of course they got this down. All right, let's take a closer look at the tasting notes, but before that, do you want to taste like a pro? Head over to TastingSkills.com, put your name and email into the magical yellow box, and I will send you my free 17-page guide to the fundamentals of tasting. All right, now let's try these bad boys, starting with the La Santa 12-year-old sherry cask finish. You get a deep gold to orange. You get the sherry note cask right away on the nose with notes of Pedro Jimenez. This is fruity with some notes of caramel and honey that comes at you in layers of sweetness on the mouthfeel. You get the sherry cask notes that first come up on the nose as it pushes layers of complex wood notes into a spicy, well-rounded fruity palate. With quality finish, this is just a drinker. This was so good, and I was really impressed. And I mean, again, you're getting 12-year-old here, sherry cask finish, $55. This is just so fruity. And when we look at Glenmorangie, we need to understand these whiskeys are all about being approachable. I mean, this is a big distillery. They make 10 million bottles. Just think about that. This was fruity, light. This is just a good overall drinker. All right, let's move on to the Quinta Reuben 14-year-old port cask finish. Right away, the color is amber with some red highlights. The nose gives you notes of Colita port cask with caramel, toffee, blackberries, and ripe blackberries. On the mouthfeel, it confirms what I had on the nose. Lots of sweet notes that turn into a complex layers of wood that eventually turns into a spicy acidity that delivers a solid finish. This, once again, is very approachable, and there's a lot of fruit on the finish. Like I said, these are so well balanced, they're light in style. If you're looking for a punch to the face, this is not what Glenmorangie does. They are so fruity, well balanced. You know, this is for the common mortal, for somebody that wants to enjoy a nice single malt and doesn't drink one every day. This was really good. All right, let's move on to the Astar. We get this beautiful gold color, and I'm guessing that this barrel was toasted since there's a lot of vanilla, and it's just lovely on the nose. You get some fruity layers with complex wood that is American oak, since this is aged in American oak. The mouthfeel delivers a quality burn that turns into this lovely wood tannin that turns into fruitiness on the tongue, and you get layers of spiciness. The alcohol isn't too present even if it's 105 proof or 52.5. There's good balance, and there's just this long acidity that just delivers layers upon layers. The wood tannins were spectacular on this. I mean, this was so solid even at a high proof. The alcohol wasn't too overbearing at 105 proof. I mean, this was really good. I'm really impressed with this one. All right, now let's move on to the bad boy here, the Glenmorangie 18-year-old. Deep gold color. On the nose, you get all kinds of zesty fruits like lemon, oranges, tangerines, some yellow cherries. On the palate, this is so well balanced since everything comes at you in layers and nothing is overpowering. You get the lovely zesty fruits. The acidity drives everything, and this turns into these beautiful spicy wood tannins that are so delicate into this long finish that keeps on giving you these lovely fruit. This is so fruity, so delicious. I'm so impressed by this. I mean, when we look at the category of 18-year-old, for example, this is only $120. If you'd be looking at a Macallan right now, you'd be at $240. This is half the price. Yes, they differ in style, but this has so much fruitiness to it. This is just so lovely. I'm so in love with it. All right, let's do the Nectar d'Or. This has a deep gold color. On the nose, you get the Sauterne cask finish right away, and that means apricots, honey, honeycomb, and some zesty lemons. On the palate, you get an intense spiciness that is pushed on to the tongue, and the acidity delivers some sweet tannins. And this gives you this really solid finish. For me, this was really solid. Once again, I mean, they are delivering quality, fruity, enjoyable, straightforward single malts here. It's not complicated. This is directed to a mass consumer. This was really good for the money, and I'm actually pretty impressed. All right, let's do a quick recap of all of them so you should know what you should buy and what you should pass on. Starting with the Lasana 12-year-old sherry cask finish. This retails for $55, and this is such a solid buy. I was impressed. Like I said, these are super approachable, so this is a buy. Then we have the Quinta Reuben 14-year-old port cask finish. This retails for $70, and once again, this is a buy. This had some really good sweet notes. Then we have the Astar. This retails for $120, and I have to say that the wood layers on this were just so impressive. The finish was lengthy, and this is also a buy. Then we have the 18-year-old extremely rare. This was so good, and for $120 here, this is just a steal. So of course it's a buy. Then we have the Nectar d'Or. This retails for $70, and once again, this was so approachable and so delicious. So of course it's a buy. And I have to say here that this Glenmorangie Extremely Rare 18 is such a steal. I mean, we're talking about $120 here for 18-year-old. The Macallan is twice the price here. So just keep that in mind, and this is way more approachable than pretty much anything out there. These are so fruity, so fun to drink. light. Like if you want to enjoy a good single malt with somebody that, you know, isn't a regular Scotch drinker, then Glenmorangie is absolutely your go-to here. This whole lineup was really impressive. Like I said, just solid whiskey. All right, that's gonna do it for me. IAMOBG for tastingskills.com. Please remember to smash that like button and go down there and click the bell. Otherwise, my friend, I will see you in the next video. And remember, stay sober. Peace.